On today's episode for our Ford 200 rebuild round number 2, we are going to be working on one of the biggest issues when it comes to one of these cylinder heads here, and that is going to be airflow. How are we going to fix that airflow issue? Well, with one of these. Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel, and I wanted to start off this video with two disclaimers concerning the modifications that you're going to be seeing. The first one being this. Offenhauser, per their instructions, does recommend that the work that you're going to see be accomplished by a machine shop. They still give instructions on how to accomplish this work for somebody who is a garage mechanic like myself. However, just know that their preference, their recommendation, is for a machine shop to get all of that work done. My second disclaimer is this. I am by no means an expert. I am, to my very core, a garage mechanic. Now, that does not mean that I don't know how to read instructions. I will be reading the instructions that Offenhauser provides with this particular kit. But this does mean that there are times where I may deviate slightly in order to get the same task done, which may mean for some of you all who have more experience or somebody who has actually done one of these modifications, you may see me do something that probably makes no sense, or maybe you just know a better way of accomplishing the same task. That's perfectly fine. And if you happen to see anything like that, please put that in the comment section. However, I wanted to make this video so that anybody could pick up the same kit if they are working on a Ford 200 and make the same modification. And to be honest, the instructions provided with this kit in order to get this modification done, they're actually pretty good. This job does not seem insurmountable, which means that if I can do it, you can definitely do it. Now that we have those out of the way, I also wanted to talk about one thing that you're going to notice during this video, and that is that I have left the valves and the springs on the cylinder head. The reason why I have done that is because I am still personally going to be taking this cylinder head to be cleaned by a machine shop. I want it professionally cleaned. However, if you are somebody who is in the opposite position, maybe you already have a clean Ford 200 cylinder head and you want to do this modification, do not do this with the springs and the valves still connected. As a matter of fact, per the Offenhauser instructions, it recommends not doing that. The reason being is there's going to be a whole bunch of cut metal fragments that will get lodged in there if you have your valves and springs attached, which could hurt your motor. This project is going to work in 3 phases. Phase number 1 is going to be flattening the log. What we are trying to accomplish is achieving a flat enough surface on top of the log so that the Offenhauser kit sits nice and flush on top of it. Phase number 2 is cutting into the log. We want to create 2 additional intake ports for the 2 additional carburetors that we want to have on this Ford 200. So we are going to be utilizing a hole saw to create those holes. Additionally, we need to make bolt holes so that we can go ahead and bolt down the Offenhauser piece to the log. And then finally, phase number 3 is going to be our tap and die phase. We are going to be creating all of the threads necessary for those previously mentioned bolt holes so that we can actually bolt down the Offenhauser adapter piece to the log. With all of that out of the way, let's go ahead and now look at the tools that you will need for this particular modification. I'm going to show off the tools that I have, and then I will explain why I'm using them and how I plan on using them when necessary. Here are all of the tools and equipment necessary in order to get this modification done. I'm going to start on the right side of the workbench, and I'm going to work my way to the left down every single one of these tools. Starting off with our Dremel, this is a 3100 series Dremel. I had previously made a video where I used this tool to kind of get off some of the casting flash on the cylinder head. Now, because we are not going to be using a mill machine because, well, you know, I'm not a machinist and I can't afford a milling machine, this is going to be, in effect, our milling machine. Dremels are going to allow you to have complete control of whatever work that you are doing, and because this is very precise work, we're going to start off utilizing our Dremel. I had almost forgot to mention that I picked up this kit here on Amazon. I ordered it, and within 2 days, it was at my house. Next, we have the carbide burrs that I also purchased on Amazon. This is a 20 piece, if I recall correctly. So you will have plenty of options for removing the cast needed for this project. Next, we have a stainless steel ruler. I had picked up this ruler from Harbor Freight, but I'm not going to be using this for measurements. What I will be using this for is to check for flatness. You can do this if you want. There are other ways you can check for flatness. However, this is what I'm going to be doing. The next tool that you are going to need is a couple of hand filers. I had also picked this up from Harbor Freight. The reason why we're going to be utilizing hand filers is because we are going to be utilizing the Dremel to effectively get off the bigger cast flashes and the casting marks, and we're going to be utilizing these hand filers just to try to be a little bit more delicate when we're trying to create a flat surface. The next thing that you're going to need is a couple of hole saws, and by a couple I really mean only one. This was a hole saw kit that I had picked up also from Harbor Freight. I only really need this one here for this project, but just know you are going to need this in order to create the intake port holes for the 2 additional carburetors. Up next is going to be your drill bits. I had picked up this drill bit set from Harbor Freight. You will need this in order to create the bolt holes necessary for you to bolt down the Offenhauser adapter intake piece to the cylinder head. We now have the tap-in die kit. Once again, I picked this up from Harbor Freight. There are other kits that you can get, but this one right here should safely work for what we need to do. We are going to be creating the threads after we drill in the bolt holes so that the bolts can actually thread into the log. You are also going to need sandpaper. So once all of the flattening and filing has been accomplished, we are going to hit the log with some 220 grit sandpaper. And then once we are done, we will then hit it with 400 grit sandpaper. If you want it to go finer than 400 grit, that is perfectly fine. I just chose to go with 400 grit. You are also going to need a center punch. I picked this one up from Harbor Freight. This is going to allow us to punch the areas that we are going to be cutting into the log in order to create those bolt holes. This one is definitely optional. It just depends on how you want to approach marking the areas that you need to modify, but I'm going to be utilizing some of this Scotch blue tape just to mark where I need to get work done at. If you want to use like a painted Sharpie or another type of tape, feel more than free to do that. Finally, you are going to need a drill to drill in the intake ports and the bolt holes into the log. I had this Craftsman for quite some time, and I think this one will be perfect for this type of job. I want to take a moment to talk about one tool that I definitely do not recommend be used for this type of project, and that's going to be one of these style grinders here. It does not matter the make, the model. Do not use one of these grinders. The reason being is the log here is, well, it's hollow, and the top metal here is incredibly thin. It's not the thinnest, but we really want to be as precise as possible. A grinder like this will be way too aggressive. I would be scared of puncturing the log, and then you have a bigger issue on your hands. But I would also be very concerned about it being inconsistent in terms of the creation of a flat surface. This would just be way too wavy of a surface because it's just too aggressive. So don't use something like this for this job. Let's go ahead and start phase 1, which is us flattening the log. Now, one thing that you are going to notice right off the bat whenever you are looking at your Offenhauser intake adapter piece is that not everything on the back is perfectly flat. The only areas that need to be perfectly flat is going to be around the intake ports that we are creating for the 2 additional carburetors. Now, what does that mean in terms of work, the things that actually need to be flattened out? Well, it means that technically speaking, some of the original casting flash or casting marks can stay. So like, for example, this FOMOCO logo here can actually stay because it's so far away from where the flat surface needs to be for the intake port. As a matter of fact, per the Offenhauser instructions, it only recommends to remove the metal that is absolutely necessary for this modification to be bolted down properly onto this log. Does that mean that if you decided you wanted to go ahead and remove all of the additional casting flash or casting marks because you wanted to do some weight reduction on this very heavy cylinder head, that it's going to be a problem? No, it shouldn't be. But just know that you're actually not having to modify or cut off that much metal. So what we need to do is we need to confirm exactly what needs to be cut off in order to make that flat surface. So per the Offenhauser instructions, it tells you to use the provided Allen bolts to mock up where the Offenhauser adapter intake will sit on the log, and then look to see what needs to be cut off. As you can see here, not everything needs to be cut off because the flat surfaces begins about here and here on these end pieces here. Everything else can pretty much stay. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to mark the areas that need to be flattened out with that blue Scotch tape that I talked about earlier. Now that I have everything taped up, you can now see exactly what needs to be cut off in order to get this intake adapter piece onto the log. Now, if you are somebody who doesn't just want to do it by eyeball, like I kind of did, you can still confirm either with the ruler or one of these fancy doohickeys here that you covered exactly what needs to be taken off. So for example, let's see here, I'll do a quick measurement here. Got a 3.66 here. Take that measurement on over here, and it stops right at that blue point, 3.66. Just kind of a way to kind of double check your work. You know, once again, we're going to be eyeballing a lot of this anyways, but it's to give some of you all peace of mind. Also, do remember that we are going to be removing the firing order number casted onto this log, as well as the manufacturer's casting numbers for your cylinder head. So I took a picture of mine and I took a picture of this just for reference in the future. One cool thing that I am considering doing is actually maybe having it like laser engraved onto this intake adapter piece so that it's not permanently gone. I've gone ahead and prepared the Dremel to include the carbide bit that we're going to be using for this. Now, notice that I had picked kind of a flat end carbide bit because I'm mainly going to be utilizing the sides of the bit in order to remove the casting. You will also notice that I have this box kind of sitting right here. What I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be utilizing this box to hopefully keep me as even as possible the entire time that I'm moving to the left and removing some of the casting. This is just to try to keep me as consistent as possible. I will still be utilizing a hand filer, but consistency is going to be key. Let's go ahead, get her started. Now, one thing that I want to quickly point out here is this. You can tell right now I have been only cutting the numbers off the log. Once I start hitting the flat part of the log, you're going to start noticing that it's going to leave the same cut marks. So right now we are still not perfectly flat. I've only cut into these numbers here. So after just a little bit of Dremel work, you can now see that this area here is about as flat as we are going to be able to get it. This is where I'm going to go ahead and stop working this part here with the Dremel. I'm going to start focusing on the other areas. I will come back to this area here with the hand filer. Okay, I stopped just for a moment because this part right here is kind of out of reach for the Dremel, and I don't want to risk not making as flat of a surface as possible. So I'm going to go ahead and start hand filing this one down. And just like that, we are pretty much done removing everything that needed to be removed here. So what I'm going to be doing moving forward is I'm now going to be swiping with a handheld filer throughout the entire piece here that needs to become flat. This is going to help with our shaping. So that flatness that we need, this is what's going to make it happen. The good thing about using handheld filers is that they don't lie. They're very good at helping you create flat surfaces. So after about 20 minutes worth of hand filing, this is what we finally have. I've already went ahead and checked the surface out with the stainless steel ruler, and this area is actually pretty darn flat. Now, we are not done just yet with this area. We will be coming back with the 220 grit sandpaper and then the 400 grit sandpaper just to really clean up this area, make sure that there's no blemishes on top of the metal here. But in the meantime, let's do that one more time. And after about an hour and a half worth of hand filing, we finally have our finished results here. I have already went ahead and checked both the left and right side with the stainless steel ruler to check for flatness. You are going to notice that the areas in which I had grinded off or cut off additional metal is a little bit larger than the original placement of the blue Scotch tape, and that's perfectly fine. The reason why I had to go ahead and cut additional metal pieces off is because you are going to want to constantly check for flushness with the Offenhauser kit. So when I went ahead, placed on the kit after the first initial cut, I had noticed that the right side of the kit did not want to sit flush with the metal. So I cut a little bit more until it was finally happy. And as you can see, she is finally happy. And we are finally at the end of phase number 1, flattening the log. If you want to, feel more than free to go ahead and continue to hand file both the left and right side of the log. But once you are done, make sure to attack it with some 220 grit sandpaper, followed up by some 400 grit sandpaper to really smooth out the metal. But that's going to be it for today's episode, ladies and gentlemen. If you like what you saw, please go ahead and give this video a thumbs up. And if you want to see part 2 of this project, go ahead and subscribe to this channel. Until next time, bye-bye.